Booster static fire done. How far away are we from SpaceX's Starship Flight 11? Pad 2 is performing crucial tests. How long until we see Starship launches from the second pad? SpaceX's Starship reps are the crunchiest. An exoplanet hunter is about to start final testing, a brand new space station is under construction, and did Perseverance finally find life on Mars, or is this another fails report? My name is Felix, welcome to What About It, let's dive right in. Starship updates. In my last episode, I tried to predict when the next launch would be. When I said 4 weeks, it was a bit of a controversial number. And then this happened. Booster 15 gave its best during a recent static fire. But before getting into that, we should go over all the production going on. After all, this is the last version 2 launch, and we are eager to see version 3 progress, right? SpaceX is creating more test tanks, this time for a booster again. But why does SpaceX make these test tanks? They do this whenever there is a change significant enough that it has to be tested on the ground first. Let's just take the first hot stage ring test article as an example. Following Starship's first flight test, it was already clear that SpaceX would need a new staging system. SpaceX's solution? Hot staging. And to avoid flying untested hardware as much as possible, they performed ground tests. A test tank was born. This test tank was made to test the structural integrity of the hot stage ring. Sometimes you can avoid having to test things on a flight for the first time. To bring this back to the current day, SpaceX is engineering a new and improved hot staging ring, and we recently got an excellent look at it. In bright daylight on September 5th, SpaceX rolled out a hot staging ring for the first time. Every single picture before that was taken inside the Star Factory. We need pictures. Why photographer Robert Opel was on the case. As he arrived at the production site and set up, SpaceX rolled out another barrel section. But what are these barrel sections? First, we had an integrated hot staging rig, followed shortly after by a common dome. Both of these barrel sections were sitting atop 2 extra rings for an unknown reason. The following night and day, both barrel sections rolled into Megabay 1 and were welded together ahead of testing. While all this was ongoing, the teams at Massey's were quickly working on the old can crusher to accept this new test tank. It later rolled to the production site and into Megabay 1 on the 11th, where the new test tank was lifted into place. As of producing this episode, the test tank and the stand have not moved yet. While SpaceX was working on the test tank, Booster 15 was being prepared to roll out. And on the morning of the 5th, a booster transport stand was brought to the ring yard, where it was later moved across the way to Megabay 1. And then Booster 15, the Flight 8 booster, was placed atop the stand. So in between this and this, Booster 15 was rolled out of the bay and moved to Highway 4 for rollout. Following the trip to the launch site, Booster 15 was placed atop the Pad 1 OLM and the booster quick disconnect was connected. It was about to get spicy. 24 hours later, the road was closed ahead of testing and the tank farm began to spool up. Booster 15 was ready to receive propellant. After a complete tanking procedure, the deluge started and Booster 15 ignited all 33 engines just 185 days after being caught on Starship Flight 8. Yeah, this is Booster 15-2, signaling that it's flight-proven hardware going for another launch. Wow! The following night, Booster 15 was quickly removed from the launch mount and rolled back to the production site, where it now sits inside Megabay 1 again. SpaceX has gotten extremely fast with test routines. Every step is perfectly timed. Well done. Now that Booster 15 was out of the way, SpaceX could get right to work modding the orbital launch mount. And they did just that. Shortly after Booster 15 arrived back at the production site, the booster quick disconnect adapter was rolled to the launch site and mounted into place. But isn't that only one part of the adapter system? Excellent observation. Yes. SpaceX later rolled out the SQR3, or the Square Ring Wall 3, to the launch site. That's what the acronym means. Square beams, overall circle shape. Yeah, I don't know. Good enough, I guess. A little while later, SpaceX lifted it into the launch mount for the third and likely final time ever. If you like it, put a ring on it. The entire process of static firing a ship on the OLM with such a quickly made and crude adapter is a testament to how SpaceX works. Sometimes quick and dirty is just what you need. But first, I have an interesting tool to show you. Flight 10 was an exciting success and we enjoyed every minute of watching it with you. But like all SpaceX news, public opinion largely depends on what the news say. One of the best tools to see what the broader media world is saying, and my top source for my own research for What About It, is ground news. So let's see what we can find when researching. One headline neutrally states SpaceX's Starship completes successful mission during 10th test flight. Another outlet focuses on sensationalism, saying part of Starship explodes during SpaceX's latest test flight. There's always more than one side to a story. Go to ground.news/y for the full picture. I can't think of a better platform to help me make sense of it all than ground news. Founded by a former NASA engineer, my partners built the only app and website that shows how the world's media cover the same event for a more comprehensive understanding of any issue. Simple, ad-free, subscriber-funded, and built for informed discussion. Perfectly aligns with our mission at Y. Ground News offers a browser extension to flag biases and link to science-focused sources. I've arranged 40% of their unlimited Vantage plan, just $5 a month at ground.news/y or by scanning this QR code. Become a part of our mission to help the world understand where space, science, and society are heading. Alright, well protected, so how is Ship 38 doing? Our livestream camera has a view into the left side of this bay, allowing us to track some things. Seen from just 3 days apart, an immense amount of thermal protection system work was completed. Yeah, all that in 3 days. And there's a very good reason for it. William, or Bill Gerstenmaier, former head of human spaceflight at NASA, and now the current vice president of build and flight reliability at SpaceX, and thus a crucial figure in the Starship program, spilled some beans. During the recent American Astronautical Society's Glenn Space Technology Symposium in Cleveland, he stated that SpaceX has learned some crucial lessons during Starship Flight 10. Things went extremely well, he said. That's good news, but not the most important takeaway. He said they were essentially doing a test to see if they could get by with non-ceramic tiles. So they put 3 metal tiles on the side of the ship to see if they would provide adequate heat control. After all, they'd be simpler to manufacture and more durable than the ceramic tiles. It turns out that wasn't the case. The metal tiles didn't work so well. They oxidized extremely well in the high oxygen environment. That is why the ship was so orange after re-entry. So while the orange color is a nice homage to the shuttle external tank, it also shows that this solution won't work. All the discoloring was created by 3 little metal tiles. Now here comes the important part from his talk at the symposium. Between most of the tiles on the current Starship heat shield, there are fairly large gaps, and that's where they saw the heat get through and underneath the tiles. Continuing his presentation, Gerstenmaier pointed to the patch of white near the top of Starship's heat shield. This, he said, was caused by heat seeping between gaps in the tiles and eroding the underlying material. This underlying material is a thermal barrier derived from the heat shield on SpaceX's Dragon spacecraft. It's essentially a white material that sits on Dragon and it ablates away, and when it ablates, it creates this white residue visible on the nose cone. So any white marks on the shield after re-entry are not good at all. But Gerstenmaier also talked about the solution for Flight 11. They call it crunch wrap. You can see this on images of Ship 37, which flew on Flight 10. And you can see it on Ship 38 and 39 as well. It's like a wrapping paper that goes around each tile, and then these tiles are mechanically held in place. They are snapped in by a robot. When they push the tile in, this little wrapping paper essentially sits around the sides of each one of the tiles, and then they cut it off on the surface. Using this crunch wrap, SpaceX can skip using gap fillers, which added a lot of complexity to the shuttle heat shield back in the days. This is what they're going to fly on Flight 11 even more than before. Gerstenmaier said, when we fly here, we are going to put essentially crunch wrap everywhere and see if we can get better sealing and better tile performance moving forward. These are areas where SpaceX is inventing things. They are doing test experiments. They are doing test envelope expansion. Continuing with Flight 11 preparation, as of recording this episode, Ship 38 hasn't rolled out to the launch site for its static fire testing yet, but we expect it to be complete by Friday. Before we continue with Starship, hit the subscribe button to stay informed. Like this video if it brought you value, and become a Y supporter for extra content. Up to 7 picture galleries per week, satellite, helicopter and ground photos, and 3D animations. Chat with me and gain more insights on the topic you love. Thank you very much. Also check out raptor-roost.com for launch viewing tickets. Flight 11 is around the corner and there is simply no better spot to watch from. A picture is worth 1,000 words. These images of Flight 10 were taken at Raptor Roost. Pad B work hasn't slowed down. Did you see that? Here, let me show you again. On the 12th, one of the booster quick disconnects was seen moving for the first time. Look at that thing move. SpaceX is making massive progress on Pad 2 in preparation for Flight 12 and the introduction of Starship version 3. Unfortunately, this quick disconnect has not received its door yet, as seen in a flyover by RGV, so we cannot see how the door will work with this system quite yet, although we can infer that it will be relatively similar to how Pad A is set up. Alongside the launch mount, the gantry, where all of the pad systems are located, is still receiving more cladding, so that it doesn't, get blasted to oblivion every time a rocket launches. To keep going with the Pad B testing, the flame diverter was tested for the very first time as well. We don't know if either of these tests was at full pressure, but we can assume it wasn't because this was the first test. Remember Ship 36 and how it blew up at Massey's? I know, I don't want to think of it either. There can be good things coming out of bad stuff. SpaceX took this opportunity to redo its liquid methane farm at the test site. First by ripping everything out, then setting up a crane to install brand new tanks, vaporizers, and pumps. And now by digging and preparing the trenches for the pipework to the static fire stand. So far, the test site has been down for 3 months, and SpaceX has already managed to complete the reconstruction of the tank farm, perfectly aligning with my initial prediction. No, the site won't be down for half a year, as some said. Don't worry. We expect that this test site will be available for static fires again within the next month or so at this pace. So now we need to talk about the most important part, and likely the one you've been waiting for the most. When Flight 11. I call Flight 10 the emotional support rocket. It helped many see that SpaceX wasn't on a never-ending streak of failures and that Flights 7 to 9 were just valuable and necessary lessons learned. But can they repeat it? Can SpaceX put our minds at ease one more time before the massively changed and improved version 3 takes over on Flight 12? It remains to be seen, and according to current progress, we will very likely see this in a little more than 2 weeks. I know, this is quick. My current prediction would be Sunday, October 5th. If SpaceX manages to achieve this, it would be the shortest gap between 2 test flights ever. There were 49 days between flights 7 and 8. If it does launch on or before October 5th, this would bring it down to 40 days or less. What do you think? Can SpaceX make it happen? Give me your own prediction in the comments below. Do you want to see mind-boggling stuff from the air with your own eyes? Go to redlineheli.com/Felix. $25 off for anyone using the link. The Redline helicopter team is waiting for you. They'll show you the same Starbase views our photographer gets on his Starbase flights. Unforgettable stuff. The European Space Agency's Plato exoplanet spotter spacecraft has safely arrived at ESTEC, ESA's technical center in the Netherlands. Before heading to Europe's spaceport in French Guiana, Plato completed this stage of its journey aboard a riverboat. Engineers are set to finalize the spacecraft's construction by attaching its solar panels and sun shield. This will be followed by essential testing, including vibration and acoustic analysis and validation within Europe's largest vacuum chamber. Plato's mission is to discover Earth-like exoplanets located within the habitable zones of sun-like stars, regions where liquid water has the potential to exist. The Goldilocks zone. We are looking specifically for habitable worlds. Exciting stuff. It achieves this using 26 ultra-sensitive cameras that detect minute variations in starlight which occur when planets transit their host stars. The spacecraft will stare continuously at the same sky region for at least 2 years to capture planets with longer orbital periods, potentially revealing whether Earth-like environments exist elsewhere in our galaxy. Yes, please. Plato is expected to inspect more than 200,000 stars over its nominal lifetime. Its launch on an Ariane 6 rocket is planned no earlier than December 2026. What do you think? Will we finally find Clendatu? Let me know your thoughts in the comments. From a probe, we'll move on to a space station under construction. It's been an exciting month for Axiom Space. On September 8th, the company shared that the FAA officially granted a favorable payload determination for its future space station's first module. So what does that mean? A favorable payload determination certifies that a payload can be launched or re-entered without jeopardizing U.S. national security, public and property safety, foreign policy, or international obligations. In other words, it's safe to fly. In the meantime, work on several station components is in full swing. 6 custom-built hatch units, enough for the first 2 space station modules, have been shipped to Turin. Here in Italy, they will be integrated at the manufacturing facilities of Thales Alliance Space, one of Axiom's main technology partners. On the company's X account, they shared a very rare look into the factory, where experts are working on a pressure vessel that will house the habitat's PPTM. This payload power thermal module will be the first module Axiom plans to send to orbit. And once there, it is going to be attached to the International Space Station, later to be joined by more modules. It will provide power, thermal control, payload transfer, and it will make the station theoretically independent from the start. By sending this module first, Axiom is expediting its plans. Axiom Station will use the ISS as a base to start the construction. The PPTM is supposed to dock with the ISS in 2027, and if all goes to plan, the new station will become an independent orbital platform by 2028. 1.5 years until orbital assembly begins. Let's move on from future orbital habitats and turn our attention to the Moon. Blue Origin has announced that one of its most intriguing projects has reached a noteworthy milestone. Blue Alchemist has passed its critical design review. Okay, this system marks a significant step towards sustainable lunar infrastructure. But what makes Blue Alchemist so groundbreaking? Just like the medieval alchemists claimed to be able to turn lead into gold, their space-age colleague is said to be able to turn dirt into something far more valuable for future lunar operations. The major difference here is that Blue Alchemist has proven that it can achieve its amazing feat. The underlying technology, electrolysis, is nothing new. It's well understood and used in many industrial applications on Earth. Blue Origin's innovation is to fine-tune its system to process lunar soil. According to the company, Blue Alchemist can make lunar missions up to 60% cheaper by eliminating the need to transport many materials from Earth. When sending things to space, every bit counts. Blue Alchemist's continuous molten regolith electrolysis reactor can literally cook resources out of the fine dust that covers our celestial neighbor. It transforms lunar regolith into essential resources, including breathable oxygen, rocket fuel, construction materials, and even electrical power. But wait, doesn't it need electrical power to perform its magic? Have they found a perpetuum mobile? No, even Blue Origin has to abide by the laws of physics. The new system enables the production of electrical energy by delivering all that is needed to manufacture solar panels. The next steps are autonomous lunar environment testing and a ground demonstration. These demos are slated for 2026. The next news brings us further out to our planetary neighbor, Mars. NASA's Perseverance Mars rover has discovered a potential biosignature in a previously gathered sample. Enacting NASA Administrator Sean Duffy's words, these new findings, published in the journal Nature, represent the closest we have ever come to discovering life on Mars. Perseverance discovered this rock sample back in July 2024. At the time, it was exploring a rock formation called Bright Angel. The rocks in this area are sedimentary rocks, deposited billions of years ago when Mars still had oceans. These deposits have proven to be excellent at preserving past microbial life here on Earth. It's become clear that Bright Angel's rock contain organic carbon, sulfur, oxidized iron, and phosphorus. And these compounds could have provided for ancient microbial life. Using its high-resolution cameras, the rover identified what are known as leopard spots. They contain the minerals vivianite and greigite, which have both been associated with signs of life. This stems from the fact that these minerals can form through electron transfer reactions that microbes utilize for their energy production. So does this mean that we've confirmed we're not alone in the universe? Not quite, but we might be very close. While abiotic explanations are less likely given the findings, findings, they can still be there. Without having a closer look at the specific sample or others from this area, scientists can't confirm either of the two options. To be able to do just that, a sample return mission is necessary. While such a mission was initially planned and the development of these systems needed has been going on for years, recent budget cuts for NASA have made the future of this mission very uncertain. And this is quite a shame. The samples are ready and waiting to be picked up after all. Budget cuts might be the only thing standing between us and those ancient alien life forms. Ain't that a shame? That's it for today. Smash the like button, subscribe for more. This is what fuels the algorithm, and this is how you can help us for free. And if you want to learn more about how AI might be the first to put a footprint on Mars, watch this video next to continue your journey. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you again in the next episode. A bit of a acoustic analysis due to the